Hey everyone, so I'm just going to go through my PowerPoint on my project, the preliminary report. Let's just jump right into it. Alright, so, as you know, Texas Tech provides a lot of resources for students, alumni, staff, faculty to use during their time or after their time at Texas Tech. One program is the Career Assessment Program from the University Career Center. So they offer 4 online career-based assessments, to help students, alumni explore majors, minors, interests, strengths, career paths, etc. And then they have qualified staff and licensed counselors to help interpret the results and help students, choose paths or what they want to do in life. So what kind of drew me to this was I noticed that when just going through a bunch of different programs trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I remember an experience at my undergrad at Sam Houston State where I took one of these assessments, but never got a counselor's help. I don't know why. I took one, I went to the career center, but I didn't go back. It wasn't required or anything, so I just tried to interpret it myself, which really didn't work out. So that's kind of why I use this as a jumping off point to kind of get the ball rolling and you know choose this as my project. So for a little bit of background information, around '04 or '05, the center started using the strengths quest assessment, and then around the '05-06 semester they started subscribing and using to the strong interest inventory and the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Previously, this director told me they used a program called Siggy Plus, but when these other assessments came onto the scene, it was pretty much, you know, put to the side because they were just so much better. Also, around the 2004 semester, the stakeholders talked about this shift where previously the counseling center were the ones utilizing these assessments and offering to their students, and they would only get around 50, students participating each year. So the vice president brought up, would the assessments be more appropriate for the University Career Center? So they made that decision. The UCC hired one licensed counselor to interpret the results. And since then, it's grown to 5 LCs, more staff, and now they're serving between 8 to 10,000 students per year. So a big jump. It was probably the right choice to move it. So continuing more background information, today they offer 4 career assessments: the strong interest inventory, the focus 2 career, personality assessments, and strength quests, and they all have their different uses. So if you want to pause and read them, you can. And depending on what the needs of the students are, they would either, require them to take one or multiple of these tests before their next meeting, where they can discuss the results. Alrighty, so moving on to objectives and goals. So this director was telling me that the goals or the objectives of the program really are more based on the individual, because the individuals are so different that come in and have different needs that one goal, one student goal might not match another. So for example, one student can know exactly which field they want to go into, but not where to focus. Like in medicine, there's so many different areas you can go into. Um, Another example is just like a student who has no idea where to begin. You might just ask like their interests, their strengths, all that kind of stuff. Go through those assessments to help them find out where to begin at. So, kind of in the director's own words, the goal is to aid in self actualization and to help students understand themselves more deeply in a better way. In kind of my own words in a long jumble format, if you want to read it, is the goal is to use the assessments at their disposal to enhance the student's ability to acquire a career in the future, the present, or to help a student choose a path by providing both information specifically tailored to them and the expertise to explain it to them as well using the counselors. Alrighty, so next we're going to move into the kind of like an example of the typical process a student would go through. So first, the student has some sort of motivation to come to Career Center to seek out information or help. Sometimes this is required by classes, some courses, or sometimes the UCC gives a presentation and students come, or some students just walk in. And then the students has an initial meeting with the counselor, kind of discuss why the students chose to seek help. They discuss more details like what classes they have taken, how they feel about the path they're on, do they like the classes they taken, would they prefer other stuff, what did they like when they were a kid taking, what courses, stuff like that. And then, during that initial meeting, depending on what's type, what is discussed, the counselor would, assign one of the more career assessment tests and then set up a time to go over the results. So after, they've taken the test, the student comes back in, and during this, second test, they go over the results. The counselors use their expertise to provide more context, to explain the results in a meaningful way for the student, and to help show them how they can take advantages of it and use it to choose paths that they want to go down. And then if the student has more questions, or if the counselor believes it to be useful, they might either require more tests to be taken, they might meet again after the student explores some avenues, or the counselor might suggest using other programs that are offered at the Career Center to help out the student. And kind of going through the process myself, having a counselor go through the results was such a big help. I could kind of understand what the results were saying, what my interests were, what my strengths were, all that type of stuff. But having the counselor there to give even more context and to show you even more paths that you might not have noticed was a huge help for this, at least. All right, we'll move on along. So for the budget and cost slide, this is just some stuff I'm toying around, like as you see at the bottom. I need to do more research and to think about more what's involved in the evaluation. So far, I just kind of looked up, starting at the top, there's going to be a lot of interviews. The process of interviews based anyway, so there's going to be a lot. So that's why I said 3 to 4 people at $45 an hour. Might go back up to 60, but I'm not sure yet. And there is some qualitative data, but I do think that 1 to 2 people at $18 an hour would also be useful to help the 3 to 4 people doing the interviews, or at least sifting through all the interview data that they collect. So even if there isn't that much quantitative, they can still be used to help with the qualitative data. I also think a consultant might be needed, because just somebody who has knowledge of career assessment, and to help analyze the program in the sense of an expert knowing career assessments and where the field is going and new stuff and stuff like that. And then I just looked up kind of like how much an evaluator costs in general. So they usually make between $35,000 to $60,000 a year, and their hourly rate is usually around $28 an hour. So that's kind of where I base that off of. But like I said, I need to do more research. And this is running along, sorry about that. Here's some other general information. You can read it if you want. I'll try to go through it quick. So there's no real way for them to provide feedback, participants, I mean. There's a student success pod slide, which kind of just focuses on positive results of the program, which is all well and good, but there's also no way for students to discuss problems they had or improvements they would like to be implemented in the program. Also, the main concerns of the program right now are more on the budgeting side rather than the programming side. So that could be an issue when trying to do the project. So I might have to look up different information or something there. But we'll see what happens. So in this, the bottom is just information the stakeholder hopes to gain if an actual evaluation was taking place. So you can read through there, and this is what the type of information they were hoping to gain from it. I thought that'd be important to know while doing my project. Anyways, thanks for listening. I hope you all enjoyed, and sorry if I went too long.